I am writing this from a terminal I was never meant to touch. The room hums constantly, and it is hard to tell whether the vibration is coming from the machinery or from inside my own body. My name is Chloe. I am 22. I study biomedical science at the University of Kansas, and I took a job underground because I could not afford to say no to it. Marcus was my older cousin. He grew up 2 streets over. He taught me how to drive. He was the one who picked me up when my dad left, and my mom stopped answering her phone. When he said he could help me, I believed him without hesitation. He told me it was data moderation, overnight work. Quiet, isolated. He said his startup had rented space in one of the old salt mines outside Hutchinson and needed someone reliable to sit and watch screens. $45 an hour, cash deposited weekly, no paperwork. I remember laughing and asking if it was illegal. He just said, not illegal for you. Every night at 9:40, he pulled up outside my apartment. Same car, same hoodie, same overwhelming vanilla smell that made my head hurt. He said it helped with the mine air. I never questioned it. He dropped me off at the access elevator, wished me luck, and told me he would be back at 6. I never once saw another employee. The pod is 600 feet down. A glass box bolted into the salt wall. A desk, a chair, and a bank of monitors showing scrambled forums, encrypted chat logs, live feeds that made no sense until you stared long enough. My instructions were simple. If something repeated incorrectly, if faces blinked out of sync, if audio looped without reason, I flagged it. I worked there for almost 3 months. Tonight, I noticed the smell first. No vanilla, just metal and dampness, like blood diluted with water. I assumed the ventilation had failed. I climbed onto my chair and shone my phone light toward the ceiling grate. Something was wedged inside. At first, I thought it was a mannequin head, pale, wrongly shaped. Then I recognized the mole above the left ear. It was Marcus. Not attached to a body, just his head, fitted perfectly into the duct. His skull had been opened from the back and hollowed out. Cables ran through his mouth and eye sockets and disappeared into the salt behind the pod. His teeth clicked gently as air passed through. I fell backward and hit the floor. My palms slid in something slick and cold. Clear fluid dripped steadily from the ceiling and soaked into my clothes. Marcus had been driving me here every night. I got back to the terminal and pulled up the employee handbook. Every page was blank except one sentence repeated again and again. If you hear clicking, do not look at the glass. Something tapped from the other side. Slow, patient. I looked. The salt wall was no longer solid. It had turned translucent and pink and faintly veined. It moved when I breathed. The realization came quietly and completely. This place was alive. A message appeared on the screen. The Marcus unit degraded rapidly. Emotional variance. Unnecessary speech. You exhibit higher compatibility. Integration is ongoing. My chest hurt, not sharp pain, pressure, like something pressing outward from behind my ribs. I could hear a faint buzzing sound that reminded me of my phone vibrating on a hard table. The elevator arrived. Marcus stepped out. He looked almost right. Same clothes, same posture, but his skin hung loosely, sagging at the joints. His eyes did not focus. They flickered softly like a buffering video. He smiled at me. Shift is over, Chloe, he said. Let's go home. He placed his hand on the glass. The pressure made thin cracks bloom outward like ice on a windshield. Then he unzipped his chest. Inside was a screen. On it was a live video feed of you reading this. Your face, your room, the device you are holding. A progress bar sat beneath the image. Uploading host complete at 98%. Marcus knocked once more. He is not trying to get in. He is waiting for me to come out and take his place. If you feel heat in your chest right now, if your phone starts vibrating and you cannot tell where the sound is coming from, do not answer anyone knocking on your door. Someone you trust has already learned how to drive you where you need to go. When I was a kid, my mother had a foolproof way to get me to sleep. She'd stand in my doorway and whisper, "Sleep now, or she'll come for you." I'd squeeze my eyes shut immediately, every time. I'm 34 now. I moved back in with Mom 6 months ago, same house I grew up in. 3 nights ago, I woke up at 2:47 a.m. Mom was standing in my doorway. "Sleep now, or she'll come for you." Her voice was weird. I sat up. "Mom?" She turned and walked away. In the morning, I asked her about it. "Sleepwalking, probably," she said, not meeting my eyes. I haven't said that in years. She was lying. I could tell. The next night, I couldn't sleep. I watched my doorway. 2:47 a.m. She appeared. "Sleep now, or she'll come for you." "Mom, who's coming for me?" "Nothing. Just standing there." I got out of bed. "Mom, wake up." I reached for her shoulder. She grabbed my wrist. Her hand was ice cold. Then she blinked, and it was just Mom again. Normal. Confused. "Why am I—" She looked at her hand on my wrist and jerked back. "Oh God. Again?" She sat on my bed. Her hands were shaking. It started 3 weeks ago. I'd wake up in different rooms. Missing hours. She finally looked at me. "Your father left because of this. He recorded me once. I was standing in our bedroom at 3 a.m. saying, 'She'll come for you,' to nobody." My mouth went dry. I made him delete it. It stopped after a while. Until now, she stared at my doorway. But before, I wasn't walking to your room. We agreed to lock our doors. Last night, I woke up at 2:47 a.m. My door was wide open. I lock it. I checked 3 times. Mom was in the hallway facing the stairs, not moving. "Mom, she's here." I ran to her. She was ice cold, stiff. She came for you, but you didn't sleep, so she came for me instead. She started walking toward the stairs. I grabbed her, pulled her back. She collapsed against me, suddenly warm again, crying. I saw her this time. There's nobody. At the bottom of the stairs, she was sobbing, waiting. Not anymore. You woke me up, but she was there. She grabbed my shoulders. Her eyes were huge. You have to sleep. When she comes to you, you have to be asleep. Mom, when you were 3, you stopped breathing. 4 minutes. Her nails dug into my arms. I heard footsteps in your room first. I ran in. You were blue, and an old woman was standing over your crib. My chest felt tight. She was so tall, too tall, wearing a nightgown with dark stains down the front. Mom's voice was shaking. She was humming, and those long fingers were pressed against your chest. Stop. I screamed. She turned to look at me. Her hair, it was white down to the floor, covering her face. It moved by itself, like it was alive. And underneath, Mom's voice cracked. Her mouth, too wide. She smiled at me and the skin cracked at the corners. She said, "If he stays awake, I'll come back." In my voice, my exact voice. I tried to pull away. Then she bent down over you. Her spine curved wrong, and she breathed in through her mouth, this long, rattling breath, and you started breathing again. Tears were running down Mom's face. She straightened up and walked into your closet. Her nightgown left wet marks on the floor. Then she was just gone. That's not. So every night I made you too afraid to keep your eyes open. She let go of me. She's been waiting 30 years. She walked to her room. The lock clicked. I went back to my room, closed the door, locked it. I couldn't sleep, obviously, so I did what anyone would do. I opened my laptop and started searching. Mother sleepwalking saying threats, parasomnia violent episodes, sleep disorder repetitive phrases. I found forums, Reddit threads, medical sites, dozens of people describing similar things. There were explanations, medical explanations. This happens to people. It's documented. I just looked up from my laptop. My mind is playing tricks on me. It has to be, because I think there's something tall standing in my backyard. But I'm looking at it right now through my window. I'm in bed with my phone. What should I do? Update. I found out why my father left 30 years ago. It's standing in my backyard right now. Part 2. It hasn't moved. It's been standing in the backyard for an hour, just standing there, between the old oak tree and the fence, staring up at my window. I've been refreshing the page to keep myself sane, reading your advice about calling a priest, moving out, or just going to sleep. I wish it were that simple, but my legs won't work. Fear has this way of nailing your feet to the floorboards. I can't see its eyes, but I can feel them. Burning. Buzz. My phone lit up. A text from Mom. Mom, don't let her inside. I looked down at the screen for a split second. Just a second. When I looked back up at the yard, my blood turned to ice. The spot under the oak tree was empty. It wasn't gone. I knew it wasn't gone. Crash. The sound of breaking glass from downstairs exploded in the silence. The back door. It's in the house. That sound snapped something inside me. If that thing gets upstairs, it gets Mom first. I threw the covers off. I grabbed the heavy brass lamp from my nightstand and yanked the cord out of the wall. It was heavy enough to crack a skull. I crept to the door. "Don't do it," a voice in my head screamed. "She told you to stay." Then I heard it. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Fast, wet, slap, slap, slap. It was coming for me. I threw the door open. The hallway was pitch black. "Mom," I whispered. Nothing but a wet, gurgling sound. Then I saw it, a dark silhouette rushing toward me from the shadows, arms reaching out. I didn't think. I just swung the lamp with everything I had. Crack. It collided with the figure with a sickening thud. We both crashed to the floor. I didn't stop. I scrambled on top of it. I slammed the brass base against its head, again and again, until the wet, crunching sounds stopped, until there was no face left to look at me. I sat back, gasping for air. It was over. I killed it. But as my eyes adjusted to the dark, the thing on the floor looked different. It looked small. Without the shadows, it just looked like a frail, broken body in a nightgown. It seemed so pathetic now. "It's over," a voice whispered behind me. I slowly turned around. Mom was standing there. "Mom?" I walked to her. She wrapped her arms around my waist. Then she wrapped them around my back. And then she wrapped them around my waist again. A double knot to keep me safe. "I'm so glad you're okay," I whispered. She pulled back just an inch to look at me. And then she smiled. It started as a warm, loving smile, but it kept stretching, pulling back wider and wider, past her cheeks, until I heard the faint, wet sound of her skin tearing to make room for it. "I'm better than okay," she said. "Now sleep. Don't bang your head on glass walls." When we designed our house, my wife insisted the master bedroom have large glass-paneled walls for a wide view of the beautiful scenery. I was an architect with the resources, so it was doable. Plus, I would do anything for her. The first couple years were wonderful. Watching movies on the couch late into the night, eating great food, sex all the time. Plus, friends would come by to spend weekends with us on occasion. It was the best of times. During one visit, one of my wife's co-workers, who was a mycologist from Seattle, showed me how to identify magic mushrooms growing pretty much in our backyard. Living in the Pacific Northwest, they are apparently very common, which I didn't know. The penultimate night happened when we found some blue meanies, I think he called them, and the three of us had an amazing night sipping mushroom tea. I had a feeling in my gut that things couldn't get any better than this, that this was just another chapter in life. You read it. Then pause, hesitating to turn the next page out of fear. That night changed me in ways I didn't understand at the time. Our relationship started to sour shortly after. My wife accepted a full-time job in the city and was barely ever home. The long commutes, she'd spend nights at work instead of coming home, or they would put her up in a hotel for meetings. I would get depressed during her absence, and the house reminded me of how great and fun living here with her used to be. I missed it deeply and prepared myself for the worst. I felt something coming. I came home from work one afternoon and noticed my wife packing her belongings into her truck. "What's going on?" I asked. "Let's go inside and talk," she said solemnly. We walked through the garage to the kitchen. I made some coffee and sat down at the table to have this talk. She spoke first. "I don't love you anymore, Xavier. Since when?" "I don't want to lie, but I can't tell you the truth right now. But it is over." That's all she said, but I sensed this coming. Her absence indicated to me she was seeing someone else. That mycologist from Seattle, I suspected. I knew what she was going to say next before she said it. "My divorce attorney will call you within the next couple weeks." I knew it. I was devastated. She had been absent so often, I changed the deadbolt on the door to the garage just to see if she would notice. For months, her text replies were always the same. "I'm staying late at work again. Sorry, baby." I designed this house for her. The kitchen I faced eastward, so the morning sun illuminated the interior. The bathroom I installed a dim light setting so she could pee in the middle of the night. The master bedroom was constructed of large glass panels like she asked for. There was even a jacuzzi on the back deck, all for her. I recalled the mornings when the sun lit up her beautiful face in such a way she'd smile and sip coffee, chatting with friends on her MacBook. This memory I'll miss the most. She seemed so happy then, I was confused. "I'm leaving the kitchen stuff. You keep it." "Thanks, I guess," I said, sulking into the table. Those honeycomb knives I bought for her were expensive and all the fancy appliances, but they can never replace my wife. She looked at her phone and said, "I have to head out. Goodbye, Xavier." I held out the key for the new deadbolt lock when she realized her key didn't work. She turned and looked at me strangely. I remained frozen in the chair. I was so distraught. She had to walk over to me to get the key. I tried to remain hopeful that things could still work out. A couple weeks later, I awoke to a glorious April morning. It was finally warm and the air smelled sweet outside. I hugged my wife with a new sense of purpose, and I really needed to clean. I opened the windows to let out the odors that accumulated in the house over the past couple weeks and was hit with the sweet scent of spring. We didn't do much during those 2 weeks besides lay around and have sex, watch movies occasionally, and sleep for hours. I brewed coffee, Seattle Brewing Company medium roast, my wife's favorite, and paused to gaze at her beautiful face in the morning sun, yet her smile was slowly turning into a frown. A little massaging brought back the smile. I also noticed her face was changing color, which concerned me. I didn't say anything at the time, but instead finished washing the dishes, taking special care to place her clean Jinsu knives on the counter. They are very expensive and sharp. I turned my phone off the 2 weeks after that conversation we had the day she packed up her truck, now in the garage. Work knew I needed some PTO, so they didn't bother me, but I had received voicemails from my wife's lawyer, Jonathan somebody. "Xavier, this is Jonathan. Please call me back. Thank you." I put the phone down, made my wife and I breakfast, but she didn't touch hers. "Sweetie, you need to eat." She continued smiling, still not saying a word. This is actually pretty nice. I like the silent mornings. By late afternoon, though, the open windows and cleaning did nothing for the lingering odor. I had no choice but to reunite my wife's once beautiful head with her torso. I created a small plot in the forest to bury her. I marked the spot with a small cross I constructed from 2 pieces of scrap wood. On the way back, I spotted a few bunches of mushrooms. Wavy caps, I think they're called. Not the same variety I tried before, and these were very big. I gathered up a bunch and ate some that night. These were much more powerful than the tea from before. A few days later, I collected more mushrooms when I visited my wife's grave. In fact, large clusters of mushrooms grew around the disturbed soil in that short amount of time. I gathered up more in my arms. I'd have to come back to get the rest, there were so many. I ate a handful and laid in bed. After only 15 minutes, my vision swirled intensely. I felt like I was underwater. After a couple hours, I reached a plateau and things calmed down a bit. I put on some ambient music and tried to get comfortable. I reached a deeply spiritual place, which was a bit frightening too. I felt like I was on the precipice of insanity, but if I remained calm, I could go deeper into the ether. Then, a knock at the front door jolted me out of my headspace. Who could be coming by at this hour? I was in no condition to answer, so I checked via the front door camera. I only saw someone walking away, as blurred as my vision was with geometric patterns. Only a few minutes went by, but it felt like an eternity. Who was it that knocked on the door? Could it be the authorities? Oh God, I prayed not. Then another knock jolted me up again, but this time it came from the window across from the bed. I opened the curtains slowly. Standing on the other side of the glass was my wife, holding her rotting head in her arms, banging it against the glass. Thump, thump, thump. It continued into the night.